So, hoy la entrevista va a ser en inglés. Así que, hi
Hello,
there.
hola, ¿cómo
Hello.
está?
Fine. You, how are you?
Good, good.
So,
Bueno.
I'm gonna talk a little about you, just to tell my the followers who are you. Maybe they don't know you, maybe they do, and maybe they don't know me, but I just present myself. So, he's a writer. He wrote 25 books and a bestseller that is called Choose Yourself. And also he started 20 um, and businesses, and he failed in 17 of them. So how?
Do you have to remind me of how much of a failure I am?
Yeah, you're
Well,
incredible.
I
You're
think if you're
incredible.
I think if you're going to take chances and you're going to take risks and you're going to try to better yourself, you always want to experiment. You always want to try things outside of
Yeah,
your comfort zone. And often when you do that, you're going to fail because the nature of an experiment, the nature of trying new things is that you don't know what the outcome will be. You can plan as best you can, but we only learn when we risk that failure.
yeah.
But failure is not a good thing. We don't want to
You,
fail. So you always want to try to do it so that your downside is minimal, but your upside is huge. Unfortunately, I did not always know that. And so sometimes my downside was huge and my upside was minimal.
Yeah, I'm an entrepreneurship major at Loyola Marymount University. So it's incredible. You're like a native entrepreneurship, like man, you're a businessman like from since you're born. I don't know.
for,
So
for a
what
long
did you
time, but it's not very fun. I don't necessarily think entrepreneurship is a fun thing. It's very there's so many aspects of it that are painful, and you have to do all sorts of things that aren't necessary. You have to develop all these skills that you're not necessarily comfortable with to be a good entrepreneur. There's no such thing as entrepreneurship
yeah,
skill. There's like
no,
sales, marketing, ideas, execution,
yeah,
negotiating, selling, raising money, dealing with customers. These are all different skills.
totally. And how did you start?
So I was um, I was at HBO, which is a television network,
Yeah,
and I was building their website in the mid '90s, and I was in charge of building their website, but there weren't any companies around to to hire to build their website. And I said I'll just do it myself, and they said no, we need to hire a real company. So I
yeah,
started a company on the side, and then I hired myself to do the website. The
wow,
website was good, everybody liked it, and every other entertainment company started hiring my company. So then ultimately I left HBO to do my company full time, and that was what I didn't want to do it though, but I had to do it. I had employees at that point, and I kind of liked my job, but I quit and did my business full time and sold it after a couple of years. I realized, oh my
yeah,
gosh, everybody's learning how to make websites in school. So my
yeah.
business is going to be worth nothing. So I sold the business before that happened, made some money, but then I didn't understand, there's three skills to money: making it, keeping it, growing it. And I knew how to
Totally.
make it, but I didn't know how to keep it or grow it. So I went completely broke, lost all the money I'd made, lost everything I made, and had to start over from scratch. And that
Oh my
happened
gosh.
three more times before I finally started to figure out rule number two.
Wow. That's what a life. What a life. What a story. Oh my gosh. And how did you like start like like writing books, and why did you wanted to write books? Like, why? What did you think? What? How can you help people writing books?
Yeah, so at one point I had gone broke again,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, I didn't know what to do. I was sick of the industries and businesses that I was in, and I
Mm-hmm.
was tired of failing all the time, and I was tired of going broke, and I couldn't understand why is this always happening to me. And I thought I was smart, but it turned out I was not so smart, and I was just frustrated. So I had always been writing for a long time, ever since I was much younger. I had been writing articles and things like that for a long time. But I finally just said, I don't really care what people think. No one really, no one really wants to hear from me anyway. And so I just started posting all these stories about going broke and coming back from it and being depressed and coming back from it and losing everything and coming back from it. And I started telling these, not in the normal like nonfiction or self-help kind of genre, but more like storytelling. I was just telling my story almost as if I was writing fiction. And people really responded to that. It was like a new, it was like people couldn't believe I was admitting all of these failures, all of these bad things, and all of these frustrations I had. But I wasn't just saying, "Oh, I'm frustrated." I was telling the whole story, and you would. So I wanted people to feel it, like what I was feeling, and
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that writing, and people seemed to enjoy. I was starting to get an audience from that, and so I started writing books about what happened to me and how I basically how I chose myself for success instead of waiting for other people. I'd
Yeah.
always been waiting for other people to choose me, and I no longer wanted to do that. That made me feel bad, and I wanted to start doing things that made me feel good. I was starting to get older. I couldn't spend the rest of my life feeling bad.
Yeah. And what did you do?
Well, I basically decided that everything I wanted to do, I would I would no nobody could tell me you can't do that. So every
Yeah.
time I always switched careers, I switched careers a bunch of times, and
Mm-hmm.
always people would say, "You can't do that. You you need to go back to your old career. You nobody knows you in this new one. You can't do this." Every time someone said can't to me, if I listened to them, I was miserable, and if I didn't listen to them, I was successful. So
Totally.
success, nobody wants you to break out of your shell. People like you the way you are. So if you try to do something different, if you try to be better or bigger or happier, everyone's going to say you can't do that. You're you. You can't be this other person. And so I decided, you know what? I'm not going to ask people for permission anymore. I'm just going to do what I want to do. Not in a bad way. I'm not going to go around killing people or anything. But if I
Yeah.
want to
Totally.
be a writer, no one's going to stop me from publishing a book. If I want to have a TV show, no one's going to stop me from making my own TV show. If I want to
Uh,
create a business, no one can say, well, you don't know anything about that industry. How can you start a business in it? I'm not going to listen to that anymore. I'll choose myself to learn the skills that I
yeah.
need to learn, and I'll do lots of little experiments to sort of figure out what I'm doing. And I have a technique I call plus minus equal. So with a plus, when you're learning something new, with a plus, you find a
Yeah.
mentor. With a minus, you find people to teach. Because if you can't explain what you're doing, then you don't really know well enough. And with equals,
Totally.
you find people who are growing with you in the industry, and you exchange notes with them, you befriend them, you learn from them. So for everything you want to learn quickly, you need a plus minus equal. And so
Mm-hmm.
I also decided, look, if I really am going to succeed, it's almost like training for the Olympics. Like I have to make sure my relationships, there's no toxic relationships in my life. I have to be
Totally.
physically healthy. I have to be creatively healthy. I have to be spiritually healthy. So that's the foundation. And I have to start with that. And then from there, I have to learn the skills that I want to learn and, use those to be successful.
And here there is a a follower that said too late for me. So I would say it's never too late to change or to do something new, right?
It's never how old are you? Whoever said that. Well, wait. So let's.
Or well,
I'm 52 years old, and I change every year. Like I can't even remember the me from 2 years ago. So I switch careers every 3 or 4 years now. Sometimes even much faster. And at any given point, I'm usually doing 3 or 4 different careers that have nothing to do with each other at all. So, and I'm
that's perfect.
52, and I when I'm 53, I'll do something new again. Like it's never too late. I mean, look, Voldemort was 65 years old before he started pursuing Harry Potter. What if
Oh
he
my
said it's
God.
too late for me? He never would have pursued Harry Potter. There wouldn't have been a
Totally.
Harry Potter series.
That's totally true. And like to talk about a little about you, like what country would you like to visit if you didn't go already? Like what country you think that is a country that inspires you, or maybe you're interesting to learn about it? Do you have one?
Uh, right now it's an interesting time because nobody can travel anywhere. So
Well,
you know, if there's I just saw a map of the United States yesterday, and it's shaded orange, all the areas where U.S. citizens can't travel, and
mhm.
the entire planet was shaded orange, except for maybe one country in Africa. So we can't even go anywhere. So, but I'm
Well,
excited. But what's going to happen is every country is going to go through drastic changes. The US is going to go through some big changes. And
yeah,
I'm curious what the new United States is going to look like after this period or during this period as things change. So I'm excited to see what the US will be like. I'm in the US right now, but I'm excited to see
yeah.
what the new United States will be like
I'm in
when.
Ar- I'm in Argentina right now, and it's everything is different here. Everybody with the masks, and everybody trying to see their relatives, but they cannot see their relatives. So everybody's in the park, or one day we cannot go. So it's like really strange. Everything like now it's really strange what is happening here.
And Argentina is dealing with a lot of inflation, right, of the currency.
Yeah, a lot of
So that's
inflation.
a problem too.
Yeah, it is. It is a problem too.
Why does Argentina have more people going to therapists than every other country?
I don't know. It's in the culture. It's in the culture. It's normal. Like here, everybody thinks that going to the therapist therapist is like normal thing. Like going to the bathroom, maybe.
Yeah.
Like it's something normal. So here, Barry is asking you, what do you think will change in the United
Well,
States?
well, one of the things that will change is all of the big cities, New York City, San Francisco, LA, Chicago, all of those cities are going to disappear. Not disappear, but a lot of people, millions of people are going to leave to go to, let's call them second or third tier cities. So
Mm,
they'll go to Cleveland, Ohio, or they'll go to St. Louis, Missouri, or Austin, Texas, or Miami, or Fort Lauderdale, or Boulder, Colorado. So people are going to start. New York City is going to turn into kind of what it was like in the 1970s and 1980s. A lot more violent. Real estate prices are going to collapse. 50 or
yeah.
60% of the storefront restaurants are going to close down. And I'm not saying this to be pessimistic. I'm actually a very optimistic person. I live part of the time in New York City, but I'm just observing what I'm seeing. And this is happening in not just New York City, but Los
True.
Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago. And there's going to be a new resorting of all the
Mhm.
people in the US. And it'll be interesting to see which places and areas flourish. The other thing is,
Yeah.
along with this, is that automation. which a year ago everybody was worried, oh no, automation's coming, a lot of people will lose their jobs. Well, automation now is going to come a lot faster than anyone ever thought,
Yeah.
and a lot of jobs will be lost. And this has already happened. All the jobs have already been lost. They're not, many jobs are not coming back. And this is, I'm not saying an opinion. This has already happened. And so how we come to grips as a society and a culture around these huge, enormous changes is going to be very impactful. And so it's not a bad thing. It's just a new thing. It's
Yeah.
not that the economy is up or down. The economy has tilted. So there's still a lot of
Huge.
money in the economy, but now it's time to figure out how to get that money. And it's unusual. The economy's never been like this.
Do you think that people will travel, or that will not be in the new world we were gonna have?
It's not going to be as much in the new world because, again, we're going to get through this virus, right? We're going to get to the other side of it. There's going to be medicines or whatever, or the virus will mutate away. At some point, this is going to be over, and people are going to be fine. And even now, the virus is contagious, but it turns out it's not as deadly as people initially thought. I'm not saying it's you want to get it. Nobody wants to get it, but eventually it's going to pass, and we're going to be fine. But we've been locked down for almost 6 months now, and that creates a new lifestyle. It's not just creating a new habit, it creates a new lifestyle. So when I've been on a plane several times, and whenever I go on a plane, I'll talk to a friend, even my smartest friends, and they'll always ask me, do you feel safe on a plane? And so people are going to have this natural instinct now to not feel safe on a plane, to not want to travel unless it's by car, to not want to stay in hotels or other people's houses. So people are going to be a little bit more nervous. It's sort of like after 9/11, I was in New York City for 9/11. Took me about 5 or 6 years before I got on a plane again. And it's going to be the
Yeah.
same thing now, except longer and maybe forever. So I don't think people will travel. And the problem is you have like places like coastal, Mediterranean Europe, where the tourist industry is being really hit.
Yeah. Even
Um,
here too.
yeah, Argentina, Buenos Aires
Yeah.
is probably getting hit. It's a big tourist city from the U.S. And that's unfortunate. And I don't know. It's going to be hard to figure out what could happen. The United States could hang on, but other countries can't. So you look at countries like, Greece or Italy, wealthier countries like Germany are going to have to help them out. And
Yeah.
Argentina, you're experiencing, the inflation and the corruption of
Yeah.
government. It's going to be a little bit, you're going to have a little bit more of a black market currency. There's going to be a transition to a digital currency like Bitcoin,
We
and you'll
hope
survive
so.
too, but it will be different.
Yeah, we hope we will survive. We will survive.
Oh, you
They're like,
definitely will.
yeah,
Argentina's been through worse.
yeah, totally. But also, it's a weird moment now in Argentina. We don't know how to react to everything, what is happening here. But um yeah, I don't like what you're saying. It's horrible. I want to travel. I love to travel, and I cannot think that the new world will not bring, like, will not be about traveling and like nourishing yourself by seeing other countries. And what do you think about universities? Do you think we'll come back, like,
Uh,
in
so just
person?
so just to answer on the travel a little bit.
Yeah.
Once we're past the pandemic and everyone's, people won't be comfortable traveling, and the tourism industry is sadly going to die. But
Yeah.
there will be plane flights from country to country, and when you get to a new country, you'll have to show that you've taken a
Yeah.
pandemic test, and or you've been, who knows what restrictions there will be. But people who do travel then will have opportunities that other people who are afraid to travel won't have. So
Oh, that's
you'll
true.
see the world, but you'll see it differently. There won't be, you won't see it as a
Maybe
tourist
you will
anymore.
see it big. You will see it better, maybe.
Maybe, or you'll see it differently. That's for sure. You
Yeah.
might not see it. It might not be better or worse. It'll just be different. There won't be tourism in the new in the same way there was.
Yeah.
In
Totally.
terms of education, the university is definitely dead. No more universities.
Never.
Not tomorrow, but certainly within the next 5 years, people are going to say, "Why should I pay $70,000 a year to go to a university when I can get these? When all I really need are these 5 skills, and I can learn them online for cheap, and I can learn other things by reading and forming groups, local groups, or going online with different reading groups or study groups. There's no reason anymore to pay $70,000 for
Oh my
1 year
gosh.
of college when Google will hire you if you take courses for just a few $100. You know,
Oh my
every
god.
company is going to stop requiring college degrees.
Really?
Definitely.
That's so that's so disappointing. Like,
I would normally agree, and again, I'm not being a pessimist. I'm just saying this is what's already happening. So already, I bet you in Argentina, certainly in the U.S., school starts. Well, I don't know when school starts in Argentina because you're,
no, we're not. Schools are not starting here.
yeah, and so
Everything is online.
schools, right? So schools are going to be about half online here. Half online, half on the campus. But then
Yeah.
people are going to realize the campuses are going to be mostly empty. It's not going to be that kind of
No.
collegial school experience. There's my friends
Totally.
across in the other building. And the teachers right there. It's office hours. I can see the teacher. That's not going to exist.
No.
And people are suddenly going to realize, oh my gosh, I'm going into so much debt. I can't afford it. And I can't, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a job in order to pay back this debt. And so someone says, Victoria says they want the social aspect though. It's true, people
Yeah.
want the social aspect, but it's not worth $70,000 to pay for that social aspect. It's not worth $200,000 in debt to pay for
Mm.
friends. Like
Totally.
I
Totally.
have kids, they could get friends without spending $200,000 or $300,000, particularly the girls. They don't need to spend that much money
No.
to get friends.
And also, Scott is asking, what training would you recommend to someone in this new environment?
What what
What
training?
training? Yeah,
Uh, in terms of skills and stuff?
I think so. Yeah, I think yeah.
Yeah. Uh, right. So uh, uh, you're gonna need one of two types of skills. Only one. You're
Hmm.
either gonna need what's called hard skills or you're gonna need soft skills. So hard skills range from programming a computer, AI, making mobile apps, whatever, but all the way down to, how to set up an online store, how to set up a blog, how to do basic technical things. So that's the hard skills. You either do that or
Yeah,
you do the soft skills. The soft skills are going to be all about how do you tell a good story, because you're going to have to help people figure out what they need to buy, what they need to do to survive. And you can only do that through
yeah,
telling stories. So marketing is similar to storytelling. Negotiating is similar to storytelling. Creating content, like doing these Instagram lives, this is storytelling. So having a wide set of skills in terms of telling a great story is going to be very important. It's not going to just be like, oh, I read a history book in college and I studied math in college. All of that
yeah,
stuff people could do in their spare time, but none of
yeah,
that stuff applies to a world where there's going to be a billion people unemployed in this world. And in order to avoid being one of those billion people, you're going to need to kind of either tell a great story through one of these soft skills or have some technical skills so people
totally.
could hire you.
Or be an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah, so being an entrepreneur is the same as being a storyteller.
Yeah,
When Steve Jobs made the iPhone, that wasn't the first smartphone out there. It was like the 50th smartphone. But what
Yeah.
did Steve Jobs do? He told a great story. He
Story.
told, like, what if you could carry around a computer that you could also watch TV and listen to a million songs and talk to your friends? What if you could do that on your way to work or on your way to visit a friend?
Incredible.
And he told a story that made people say, oh, I want to do that. And even though they could have bought the older smartphones, they bought the iPhone instead. And it wasn't even the best phone, to be honest, but it was the end of Steve Jobs' story to buy the iPhone. And so tens of millions of people did. So to be an entrepreneur, you have to be a good storyteller.
Yeah.
You have to be able to tell people why they need your product. So in the old world, people wanted things and they could get them. But now people aren't going to want as many things. People are going to have to need the things that an entrepreneur is selling. And so entrepreneurs have to be able to tell a story why you need to buy what I have.
Totally.
Which is not a depressing thing. It means
no, it's not.
It means that you could succeed more if you become a great storyteller, and if you practice creativity and you exercise that storytelling muscle and that possibility muscle in a world that's going to be filled with new possibilities. All the old possibilities are gone, but new possibilities are opening up.
Yeah, we need to be resilient.
Yeah, resilient, and even more than that. Resilient means you sort of need to be tough and take the pain and survive. But you need to be able to bounce back. Like now, you need to be able to bounce back stronger. Because the world we're moving into is going to be more about remote. It's going to be more about automation. It's going to be more about telling stories. And the people who learn those skills will bounce back even stronger. And there's a lot of money in the world. It's just not landing on anybody because we're all locked inside. So there's going to be enormous opportunities. It's just we can't grab them yet. We're waiting to grab them.
There is another viewer of this live that is asking what will happen to boutiques like fitness, like Soul Cycle, like fitness boutiques.
Yeah. So there's great examples right now, and again, this is more just observationally looking at what's happening. It's like being an anthropologist and seeing how things are changing. But you're seeing companies like, I think it was Lululemon, which makes yoga clothes. They just bought an online learning company, so their yoga instructors could teach online. So Soul Cycle, Peloton, all these places will do the same thing. They will start doing online learning for yoga, for cycling, for fitness and gym. The people who survived during the lockdown, like the physical trainers who did well during the lockdown, switched to doing online classes instead of in person, and they did very well. And that's just going to continue. So again, how did they do this? They got really good at telling a story, so they don't have to be in person with you, and they understood how to create an online course or use Zoom, have the basic hard skills while they still worked on the soft skills.
Yeah. So everything is going to be online.
A lot of things are going to be online. Well, I mean, you can't have a laundromat online, or you can't get a haircut online, but a lot more things are going to be online now. And even restaurants. When you think of a restaurant, you think of, okay, there's a host, and there's waiters and waitresses and a bartender, and there's cooks, and there's sub cooks, and there's busboys. But a restaurant now might just be a menu. You look on your delivery app and there's a menu. There might not even be a physical place. It might just be a kitchen that's legally allowed to serve food. But there's no tables, and there's no waiters, and there's no waitresses. And you just order from this restaurant. You don't even know what it looks like, the restaurant, and you order and you get your food. That could be what restaurants are from now on. So things are going to change. But that makes it better. If you love cooking, and you want to start a restaurant, you don't need to get tables
Yeah,
and design a
totally.
space and do all these things you didn't want to do anyway. You could focus on just the cooking and make even more profits. So that's
Mm,
things changing is not things going bad. It's just different.
changing. Yeah. So we had a great talk here. Maybe we can close here the interview if you would like.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, thank you so much for
Thank you
inviting me.
so much, and I appreciate so much your time, and I love what you just said. I'm gonna watch again this live because it's amazing all the information you gave to us. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks so much. Thanks for inviting me, and good luck in Argentina. I think
Thank
things
you.
will work out fine.
Thank you.